Bye. She stared at the cute sandals before gulping. It was rude to refuse a gift from the demonesses, no matter how small. Thank you, Lady Cure. I humbly accept. Don't worry about it. Just saying thanks is enough, Cure stated. They are yours to keep, Elena. Do as you will with them. Elena bowed, hoping Lady Cure didn't see her trembling face. Thank you. Cure pushed off the fountain and onto her feet. Her stained glass wings spread briefly before folding behind her shoulders. Well, I'll be heading back. Take care, Elena. You too, Lady Cure. Elena returned politely. The shoes were left sitting beside her. She was uncomfortable with the idea that she received the shoes as a gift that Cure didn't want, and couldn't help but wonder what that boy would say if he ever found out. Still, that adage was ringing in her head, so she packed it into her satchel and leaned back against the fountain, soon turning to watch the water flow down the statue's hands and body to the pool around it. The way the crystal-clear water poured down into the pool reminded her of the old fountain from the old monastery she called home, and she was barely aware of her free hand reaching for an invisible coin sack. Every day, she would have tossed a penny into the fountain to make a wish, and to her dismay, she remembered she left her own HL sack back at the manor. As she stared into the pool, she noticed a strange reflection beneath the surface. Elena walked over to the closest side of the fountain and reached inside, slipping her arm into the warm water and for the odd glint near the bottom of the shallow pool. Once she had firmly grasped it, she pulled her arm out of the water to find a simple pair of glasses, the lens surprisingly clear with little to no damage. She inspected the object carefully, making sure she hadn't accidentally damaged it herself, and after wiping the water off with her tunic, curiosity got the better of her. She stared briefly through the lenses before finally placing them on the bridge of her nose. Whoa! Elena closed her eyes and raised the glasses away from her eyes. Everything was back to normal. She pulled the lenses back over her eyes and saw strange lights surrounding everything except the buildings, roads, and plants. It was like a mist surrounded each individual person in the kingdom, and when she pulled the spectacles away from her eyes, they disappeared. She pulled the glasses down one more time and stared hard at everyone who passed by, barely caring if she looked like a nerd as Aneska called them. Everyone had that mist surrounding them, almost like a soul. Could these glasses see everything that has a soul? Her eyes looked this way and that, growing accustomed to the glow that surrounded everyone. As she scanned over the roadway in the distance, she saw a distinct mist coming from a rooftop, its color dull, but still noticeable. Curious, Elena stood up and peered hard at the soul on the roof in the distance. Hey, wait a minute. She felt her heart drop into her stomach. That soul was hovering over the estate. Then that would mean. Panic gripped her, and in the next instant, she bolted down the street. The thought of her master's cold, menacing stare was more than enough to motivate her. And as she closed in on the house, she silently prayed that he wouldn't notice her. She ran past the other citizens and closed in on her home, nearly coming to a stop realizing that she took the wrong way. Elena's eyes refocused on the rooftop of the mansion, but saw that the soul was now missing. It wasn't in the windows of the mansion and she didn't see it anywhere in the yard. Her head craned skyward to see it was clear as well. Where did it go? Where did her master go? Her heart pounded and her legs shook. But just when she felt like she was about to collapse from the weight of her belongings, she finally saw it. The soul was turning the corner. But instead of tall and imposing, it was small, maybe only a few inches taller than her. It casually passed her by, like she wasn't even there, and after a moment, Elena pulled off the glasses and stared at the figure. It disappeared. She pulled the glasses back on and saw the same soul in the same young figure, continuing to walk back the way she had just came. If this was the soul that she had followed, then what was it doing here? Why was it at the manor? She didn't think twice. Quietly, Elena took cover around a street corner and silently followed the girl, glasses resting on the bridge of her nose. As she continued following that girl, Elena noticed that she was steadily picking up speed. Her casual stroll was turning into a determined walk, and while she wasn't breaking into a run, it was clear that she needed to get somewhere. No one else seemed to notice her. It was like she really was a ghost of the realm, rather than a shade. Only when she had the glasses on was Elena able to see her, even as the silhouette slipped through the large crowds. All the while, Elena continued to silently follow her, moving from cover to cover and staying far enough away to avoid suspicion while keeping her in her sights. She was vaguely aware of the changing scenery. The familiar buildings of the Eastern District were no longer in the distance, and in its place were new buildings of a distinct taste. Still, she paid little attention to it, focusing only on the girl making her way through the street. She followed her past two nonchalant guards standing before a grand gate and turned the corner, only to reach a dead end. The girl was gone. There was no trace of her with or without the glasses. A shadow grew from the solid wall up ahead, and curious, Elena glanced up. The glasses were back in front of her eyes, and just as she thought, the silhouette moved out of view. How am I supposed to get up there? She groaned. Her eyes looked around the alley one more time, but saw nothing to help her up. Besides, it was way too high for her to just jump on top of as she stopped. Once she felt the familiar tingle from her hands, she mentally slapped herself. Elena ran back and faced the wall. She slowly inhaled the life and exhaled the death and concentrated her energy to her feet. A light dizziness poked her forehead and she shifted unevenly on her feet, but she found her balance just before taking off. As she closed in on the wall, she bent her knees and pushed off the ground. Hup! She easily scaled the wall and landed on the rooftop. Elena slowly pulled herself up and looked across the new view, lens-covered eyes scanning for the soul of that girl. Like before, she disappeared. Of the few souls she saw from the rooftop, none of them matched the one she had been following. Huh? Where'd she go? She turned her head one more time and felt an eerie presence beside her. It felt like a hand was reaching for her face, and in the next instant, her vision returned to normal. Hey! The glasses floated just out of reach of her hand. She swiped for the glasses, but they easily dodged her hand, pulling just out of reach once again before tauntingly floating before her. So, this is how you were able to catch up with me? Elena. That voice. It sounded familiar. Fatigue suddenly hit her like bricks, and she felt her legs buckle, forced onto her bottom on the rooftop. Lady Gabriella? She asked, hand reaching for the handle of her sword. The silhouette stood before her like a faded shadow. Little by little, Elena saw before her very eyes a familiar set of cat-like eyes and light brown skin filling the form. A familiar outfit of a bikini top and a checkered skirt appeared alongside the demoner's wings and long brown hair. And once she was completely visible, the girl smiled. Yep. You got it. And I see you're already planning for Devil's Night. She reached for Elena's hand and pulled her up. You were the one at my master's home? Elena inquired. Yep. I was looking for him, but he wasn't home. Gabriella cleared up. Oh. Elena sighed. I'm sorry, Miss Gabriella. I couldn't tell who you were. When I saw you at Master Elon's home, I thought you might have been You know,